Are you familiar with LMS? Do you know what that is?
No.
Looks, money, status.
Oh, wait, it makes sense. Okay.
So it's the triage priority list that a lot of guys in the black pill movement rely on and say is most important. Looks is most important, then money, then status.
For men?
Yes, for men. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts is it's a sad way to think. It's a sad way to think. And I guess like I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I got a bunch of thoughts on the stuff you're saying. But to speak back to your what you were saying about what it's like to be someone, I think mostly we're all living our own stories of what it's like. And I think like if you choose to see the best in people, you're going to notice the best behavior. If you choose to see the worst in people, you're going to notice the worst behavior. And I think it starts with the eyes you're seeing the world through. And so down to looks, money, status, I think that, I think I think they got it wrong. I think that there's that, and how would they define status? I guess I'll ask you.
I wouldn't be too sure. I would guess something like popularity.
Right. So I would say it's high status behaviors. And I know this because I went and hacked it in the game, right? As a guy who is not that good looking, as a guy like who, at least at that time, didn't have any wasn't someone recognized, didn't have status, didn't have money, didn't have looks, didn't have fame. We realized, and I was a guy who, once I wrote the game, I had the people with the most looks, the most money, the most status, calling me like this fucking 5'6" big nose, dude who keeps saying, and can't even articulate a really clean sentence, calling me for advice. The same shit I thought I was alone dealing with, they were dealing with the same thing. And I think it really goes down to like how the story you tell yourself more than money, looks, and status, and then how you reflect that story. As a simple example, I've seen a lot of people with money, looks, and status engage in low status behaviors, meaning being insecure, being doubtful, not carrying themselves well, not speaking, just always being worried about what others are thinking about them, and whatever those gained for them, they lost it. There's like a troubadour poem that's something about when they were first sort of talking about making romance into art in that era. That's like the eyes go forth to seek an image which they can then recommend to the heart. And so I think the money, looks, and status might get your foot in the door, but after that, it's who you are that enables you to stay in that door, unless you're dealing with someone who has similarly low self-esteem, right? And is just out there looking for a target who has those things because they've got their own wounds. They feel like that gives them safety.
I think
let's go. Sorry, go ahead.
Just one of the interesting reflections that a lot of friends who maybe in the early 2010s were trying to do game and pickup and day game and stuff like that, what they realized was they became quite disenchanted, I think, with the world of dating, because they saw what they needed to do in order to be attractive to women, and then realized the distance that was from who they really were, or what they thought they needed to do in order to be attractive to women, and realized that I can get what I want, but what I want doesn't actually see me. And that distance between the two of I'm having to tell them about the midget fight outside and do my Kino escalation and ignore and do all the rest of the stuff, that I think caused a lot of them to become very disenfranchised and disenchanted with the world of dating.
Yeah, I think, a couple thoughts and to go back. So again, these are like the stories we tell ourselves. Like, I think that there's a learning process, and maybe you learn, if I look back on the game, there's so many different issues around it, negative and positive and everything else. But I see it as a lot of sort of neurodivergent people trying to learn how to socially interact, including myself, right?
Yep.
And so for me, I needed those little, I didn't know, just tell me what to say and like how to angle my body. I was so uncomfortable around people. And then once I learned it, then I could let it go the same way you learn anything, which is sort of learning the rules and then throwing them out.
Yep.
So second, I got 3 points to make. Again, these topics are so interesting, right? Second thought is that another perspective on the LMS thing you said, which the second perspective is people don't know what they want. So what they want are the things behind that. So a way to think about, for example, it used to really hurt my self-esteem when I read personal ads and everyone wanted a guy who was 6 feet and taller. How tall are you?
5'10".
Okay, that's great, right? I'm 5'6", maybe 5'6.5" at a stretch, right? And it took me a long time to realize that it wasn't height that they were looking for. What they were looking for was safety. I want to feel when maybe what is, let's just say, what does money represent? Money represents that some degree of security,
competence,
and competence. That was the word I was looking for. Exactly, competence. So if you look at the reasons underneath these and you embody the reasons underneath these, which anybody can do, the other stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that's where the sort of disenchantment came from, which was not feeling like you had the actual foundation, realizing that you could create the glitzy sort of mystique. Like, you do not need to see how much money I have. You do not need to see how much money I have. And then going, oh, I can get what I want by pretending to play this game. And deep down, I still don't feel like I'm worthy of it. I don't think that they see me. What they see is this persona.
As soon as you're saying, I don't want you to know how little money I have, you're like the influencer we were talking about earlier who's promoting a vegan diet while eating meat for dinner. You're creating a split in yourself. So here's the other thing you were talking about is, I think these people you're talking about, the concept of locus of control. Like, there's external locus of control and internal locus of control. And I'm probably going to get these wrong, so apologies if I do. So the idea is, like, are the things that are happening to me the fault of others outside myself, which is a nice thing to believe, right? It's just women are like that, thus I'm opting out. Men are like that, thus I'm just not dealing with that. The world, and so we're just saying, we're creating this, it's everybody else's fault, so I don't have to change. I can just hate on them, right? Or B, the way I am and the way I think you are, is that, like, this is going on. How can I do better? How can I change? How can I be better? How can I understand? How can I be empathic? And, like, it's a lot more work, but man, you're a lot happier.
Yeah, I think the benefit from the cynic's perspective, the benefit of never trying is never having to feel the pain of failure.
Yeah.
I came up with this idea called the cynicism safety blanket, which is basically that. That's why it exists. It's sour grapes at an existential level.
Yeah. And so I notice myself, if I ever start to, and I don't even do this anymore because I stopped it. Like, if I ever start thinking something negatively about someone who's successful and start comparing their work to mine and why mine, I just stop instantly. And I just think, what can I learn from that for myself? And again, most of your listeners, I feel like, are learning, growth-minded people.
Correct.
But I think we can understand that there's certain people, and I've come across them, that if somebody is doing better than you, you can either try to do better or you can try to bring them down to your level. And that's a split in the world. But the people who try to bring them down are the loud voices right now.
Correct.
In the culture.